Today we're going to learn how to name and write intervals. So, what is an interval? It's an essential part of music theory. It's like the building blocks. An interval is a measurement. It measures the distance between two notes. If we can measure the distance between two notes, then we have a language to speak whereby we can look at the interval profile of a chord. If we understand the intervals, we can name chords, we can write chords. So intervals are a basic building block. Now, we have various types of intervals within the octave. So what are the intervals from C up to C? Well, there are lots of them. These are the basic intervals that we learn to name. There are even worse than this, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just learn how to name and write basic intervals. So going through the octave, we have what we call a minor second. That's where we have the second letter name on top of the first letter name. We have a minor second, we have a major second. We've got a minor third, a major third, perfect fourth, augmented fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, minor seventh, major seventh, and a perfect octave. So there are lots of different types of intervals. And so what we need is an easy way to learn how to name them and to write them. So if you look carefully, all the major ones, all the major intervals in this assembly here of intervals, all the major ones fit with the major scale. So these are all intervals above the note C, right? So every one of the intervals starts on the note C. So if we look at all the major ones, it would actually make up the major scale. So C to D is a major second, C to E, C to F, C to G, C to A, C, that should be a major 7, I can fix that. C to B natural is a major 7th, and C to C. That actually makes up a major scale. So here are the major intervals in the major scale. And the simple observation we need to get hold of is the fact that major scales have major intervals. So that's the secret. Major scales have major intervals. So if you know your major scales, then you know your major intervals. And that's the secret, because if you know your major scale and you know your major intervals, then it's very easy to work out a minor interval. So for example, in C major, the third note of C major is C, D, E. Third note is E. E on top of C gives us what we name as a major third. So if we wanted a minor third, then we could take the E and we could lower that a semitone to become a minor third. All right, so the secret in this game is that major scales have major intervals. Let's see how this works. Here is E. If I wrote the scale of E major, which I demonstrated on my last video. So if I draw the scale of E major scale is going to teach me all the major intervals above the note E. All right, so being the scale of E major, what comes before E in the alphabet? And that's the letter D. So we'll say our Father Charlie saying. So Father Charlie goes down. Okay, but now we know all the major intervals above the note E. So if we can write them all here. So now that we know the scale of E major, it becomes very easy. So let's see if we can name them. So first of all, E against E would just be a perfect unison. That is a thing. Does come up in voice leading, but we don't need to worry too much about that now, but we can put it in perfect unison. So E to the second note of E major is going to be a major second. So it's all to do with letter names. F sharp is the second note of E major. So F sharp on top of E, the second note on top of the first, will be a major second. G sharp is the third note in E major. So G sharp on top of E will be a major third. A is the fourth note. So the fourth note on top of the first note will be a perfect fourth. The fifth note will be a perfect fifth. The sixth note on top of the first note will be a major six. And the seventh note on top of the first note will be a major seven. And of course, the eighth note, E against E, will be a perfect octave. So there are all the intervals in E major scale. So you can see how this works. So if I said to you, what's a major third above E? The major scale will tell you what the answer is. A major third above E is G sharp. How do I know that? The major scale teaches me the answer to that question. And that's because music theory is based on the 7 letter names of the scale. So a major scale containing major intervals is our bottom line. It's the default. It's where we start. And then from there you can learn to name all the other intervals or learn to alter the major scale into another type of scale. So very easy. What if I said, oh, what's a minor third above E? Well, the major scale immediately shows you what a major third is. If you know your Father Charlie's and you can work out the key signature of E major quickly, you can work these things out really fast. So E major, what comes before E? D. Father Charlie goes down. E major would normally have G sharp. That would be a major third. We're looking for a minor third. So we'll put the third note in, and of course we'll have to lower the G sharp down to G natural. So you lower the note name. If it's a sharp, it'll go to a natural. If it was a natural, it would go down to a flat. So E to G sharp is a major third. E to G natural is a minor third. So you can see how the major scale is your blueprint and quick reference for major intervals. And then from there, you can easily work out some others.